Welcome to New England, the cradle of a new democracy in the American colonies. Boston sits at the heart of it all, with historical sites on what feels like every street corner. The city is so full of American history that a 2.5-mile long red brick path has been emblazoned on its sidewalks to guide visitors through each of the monuments. My name is Aaron Trevino, and recently my wife Ellie and I have decided to make it our goal to visit all 63 national parks in the United States before we die. Little did we know that the final boss of that goal would be the untamed wilderness of Alaska's Gates of the Arctic National Park, a place with zero amenities where only the most experienced outdoorsmen stand a chance. So we're taking baby steps, developing the skills we'll need to survive by visiting the other 62 national parks that this country has to offer. Now I know a couple of short walks over paved roads in 70-degree weather feels like a departure from that goal. Shortly after starting this journey, I suffered a partially torn meniscus and MCL in my right knee. Any kind of physical activity was going to be a challenge for me now, and I needed to get my legs back under me. So off we went to Boston to rebuild my tolerance for physical activity and to check a couple things off my mom's bucket list. I tore my MCL on Memorial Day last year, but we had already booked tickets to leave on June 11th for this trip. Of course, they were non-refundable, so I knew I needed to lock in, and I hit physical therapy hard over the week and a half I had after my diagnosis. As you can see, I wasn't quite walking normally at this point, but it was definitely an improvement over the crutches I was getting around with before. It was definitely a hassle getting my leg cramped into an airplane seat with the limited range of motion I had, but it actually wasn't so bad. We had originally planned to catch a game at Fenway that night, but we ended up landing a little bit later than we wanted to, and the tickets were really expensive by the time we were ready to make the decision. So we just went back and got groceries and headed back to the Airbnb.
Cut the camera. Does it look like I'm running in the street?
No. Hello, Gabrielle.
Oh my gosh.
The second duck is at the pond. We're out here today, Boston Public Garden, Boston Common, going on the Freedom Trail today.
Yes.
Very exciting to see America's history.
Guys, I saw a squirrel dig up a nut that they buried.
Look, he's burying it right now. Our first day in Boston, we decided to check out the heart of the city and all the historical sites within. Connecting all of these sites is a thin brick path called the Freedom Trail, and we parked our car at Boston Common to try and follow it that day. We took a walk in the park before making a quick stop for coffee at a place called Blank Street. It's actually like a regional chain in the Northeast. I think DC and Boston and a couple other places have some, but it's definitely worth a stop if you are in the area because it's really good. From there, we stopped by Acorn Street, which admittedly wasn't much to see. It's just kind of like an old road, before spending the bulk of our day touring the Massachusetts State House. In most states, like the one I'm in now, which is Texas, that'd probably be pretty boring. But given this is the birthplace of our nation, there are actually a lot of familiar faces around the halls. The architecture was gorgeous, the tour was incredible, and honestly, I don't know what happened in there, but I walked out feeling like positive change was possible in our democracy. After the tour, we continued along the Freedom Trail, making a quick stop at Park Street Church just around the corner from the State House. Just outside of the church was the Granary Burial Ground, where some of the most prominent figures of the Revolution are buried, including John Hancock, Samuel Adams, Paul Revere, and Ben Franklin's parents. We didn't get to stay in many of these places for very long because they were all about to close. That's one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give you if you're going to take the trip out to Boston is get started early. Most of these historical sites are only open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. What time is it? It's close.
Oh, it's 5:55.
What the heck is I hate everything.
We're gonna have to come back again.
And there's a lot of it, honestly. Like this trail is 2.5 miles long, but there are so many stops along the way that if you want to see all of it, you got to get started really early or even just make it a 2-day thing. But even though we couldn't enter any of the buildings anymore, we continued along the Freedom Trail until we reached the north end.
They should have made him be doing a cooler pose. You hear that, guys? Petition to rebuild Paul Revere.
Into a cooler pose, you said?
Yeah. Then have Noah Khan sing Paul Revere at its opening.
By the time we ended up in that neighborhood, it was getting a little late, so we decided to stop for dinner at a place called Regina Pizza. If you're in the North End and you're looking for something to eat, I definitely recommend this place. I will give you some advice though. It is tiny and it is very busy. The staff is great and the food is amazing, but just make sure you have your order ready before you get seated. After we ate, we continued along the Freedom Trail across the Bill Russell Bridge towards the Bunker Hill Monument. As it turns out, we picked a great time to be in town because we visited just a few days before the 250th anniversary of the Battle of Bunker Hill, the first major battle of the American Revolution. The lawn in front of the monument was adorned with both British and American flags to honor all the lives lost on that day a quarter of a millennium ago. On our way back from the monument, we passed Charleston Square, where we caught part of a historical reenactment of the events of the battle. It was a strange feeling being in Boston during a celebration like that. Only because my story as an American has always felt so different from the one that I saw reenacted that day. The strawberry fields that my ancestors worked have always felt so far away from this colonial revolution. But I don't know, being in the middle of it all awakened this sort of fondness in me for that part of American history that I don't often get to experience, so that was pretty cool. Anyways, after we saw the reenactment, we headed back across the bridge to try and grab some cannolis from Mike's Pastry. Unfortunately for us, they only take cash at this place, and I hear it's pretty popular on TikTok, so maybe know that ahead of time if you're gonna try and hit it up. But I mean, by the time we got there, I was just absolutely dead. My leg was hurting so bad.
Yeah, I think so.
We just took the subway back to the car and called it a night.
How do you like the subway?
I love the subway.
Yeah, we love public transportation, don't we?
Bless you. We love public transportation.
And it's so nice that it's good in here.
It's so nice to be in here.
Put that. You could put that on the poster for that BTA.
We're gonna sit in front of the train. How about that? Then it won't be nice to get for anybody.
How do you like the train, Mom?
She loves the train.
I asked that guy down there that we're talking to. I asked him in the audience. We have from there. He said, "Well, I call it Boston shirt."
I'll do it.
The next day, we hit the museums. We started in the arts at the Isabella Gardner Stewart Museum that my sister saw on Instagram. I mean, this place is like no other museum I've been in before. The courtyard is absolutely stunning. It is gorgeous to be there. I guess back in the day, if you had enough money, you could just make your house a museum, because that's exactly what Isabella Gardner Stewart did. She has some really cool pieces here. I mean, some of the stuff is just stunning, and it's crazy how all of it's been imported into one place. But it's definitely not like your standard Museum of Natural History where everything's organized with nice, neat placards on everything. Especially as you move up the floors, the exhibits become increasingly less like a museum and more like shelves of things. Still, it was a really cool place to see, and my mom really seemed to enjoy it. I mean, she listened to the full audio tour, so she probably got more out of it than any of us did. Afterwards, we drove to Cambridge and visited the Harvard Museum of Natural History. And this is a very small museum right in the middle of Harvard's campus. It's got some preserved specimens and some cool rocks if you're into that. But what we really came here for was for the Blauschka exhibit. Here there are more than 4,000 preserved glass models of plants and sea creatures that are rendered in such incredible detail, it's almost unbelievable. These were made over 100 years ago by a father and son glassmaking team because preserved specimens at the time looked almost nothing like the creatures did in life. So Leopold and Rudolf Blauschka explored and took notes on thousands of species before recreating them in stunning detail in colored glass. This is a book I got there that details some of the incredible work that they did. But man, this is something that has to be seen to be believed. So if you're ever in the Boston area, I highly recommend you check this out. We finished our day walking around the Harvard campus before stopping to eat at a place called Tasty Burger. It was alright, but the guy behind the counter specifically warned us not to order shakes from there, which I thought was weird. So we ended up going back to a place called Socks near our Airbnb in Melrose before we went back and watched Love Island and got in the hot tub for the night.
We're whale watching in where did we take off from? Gloucester? Gloucestershire sauce. And now we're looking for the whales. Said it's super cold.
Our last day in the Boston area, we drove up to a town called Gloucester and spent the day down by the water. We started at Cape Ann whale watching and spent a couple hours out in the Gulf of Maine searching for whales. If you've never been whale watching before, I need you to find a way to get out here. It's one thing to know what a whale is. It's another thing to look at a picture of one online, but to watch them within feet of you surface alongside your boat is a magical experience. top of that, the crew is so well informed and so clearly passionate about what they do. I left the boat honestly wanting to ask them if they had any job openings. That's how infectious their excitement and affection for these animals is. A little tip, if you do decide to go whale watching, or if you ever decide to get on a boat in the Boston area, just remember it's freezing out on the water. We went in the middle of summer and it was still cold.
It's super cold.
Make sure you bring a jacket at least, and then maybe something that's at least a little bit waterproof if you really hate getting wet. Also, before you go, make sure you check Groupon or other discount websites, because we got our tour tickets for essentially half off and it was only like $300 for 7 of us to go. When we returned to shore, we stopped for lobster rolls at a place called Blue Collar Lobster Co. right on the water. Ellie and I had never tried lobster rolls before. We'd also never seen how much they cost because, oh man, these were expensive. I think I liked mine more than she liked hers, but I also think that the butter was doing a lot of the heavy lifting. But when in Rome, right? Around 2 or 3, we decided to head back to Boston in time to visit the National Historic Park and the USS Constitution. Old Ironsides, as she's often called, is the oldest commissioned warship still afloat in the entire world, having been launched for the first time in 1797. Now, I thought it was pretty cool. My family disagrees with me though, because only about 10% of the original ship is still intact. Real Ship of Theseus situation there. Whatever. We left from there and we were determined to get Mike's pastries this time. This place is a madhouse at basically all times of night. So again, make sure you have cash. Make sure you've got at least an idea of what you want by the time you get to the counter. My sister was the one who was really pushing to go here, but she discovered when we got there the second time that cannolis are filled with ricotta cheese instead of, I don't know, whatever she thought it was, like a frosting type filling. So we ended up sampling a bit of everything, but my brother Jacob and his girlfriend Lauren ended up getting cannolis anyway, and they said they were pretty good, so take that for what it's worth. We made it back to the Airbnb for more hot tub and Love Island time, before we spent the morning of our final day heading to Connecticut to tour Yale's campus.
Yale swim team, you ready?
Where's the pool?
I mean, I get the hype. This place is gorgeous. I don't know what Rory Gilmore was thinking when she dropped out of this place. Every single street and building was beautiful here, especially when you compare it to where Ellie and I went to school. Visiting Harvard earlier in the trip and Yale today made me imagine a different version of myself who had really sent it during application season and had this new high-rolling job on the East Coast, but only for a moment, because then I realized just how cold it gets here and decided I'm pretty good where I'm at. Anyway, we left the campus and headed back for the airport to head back home. We didn't see all of New England. There's so much to see in this part of the country, but we'll be back one day. You know what? Now that I think about it, I did forget one little thing. Remember when I said we made this trip out here to check something off my mom's bucket list? Well, we actually did that on our first full day of the trip. I just thought it was a better narrative fit here at the end of the video. Sue me. Ever since my mom was in grade school, she's wanted to visit Rhode Island. I have so many memories growing up of her talking about this seemingly random dream to one day visit the ocean state. She said she set her eyes on it when she was learning about the state's capitals, and she was fascinated by how small Rhode Island was. I know it might seem silly, but you know how it is. Some things in your childhood, they just stick with you. I guess in the same way, her dream stuck with us. My mom, she didn't spend a lot of time talking about things that she wanted when we were growing up. She always wanted to make sure that we had what we needed to be successful. So when she mentioned this thing that she wanted, we held on to it. That's why we made the hour-and-a-half drive from our Airbnb just north of Boston to Newport, Rhode Island. We started our day on Cliff Walk, a 3.6-mile historic recreation trail along the southern coast of Aquidneck Island. It's a gorgeous little path with historic mansions on one side and the Rhode Island Sound on the other, all around surrounded with gorgeous, lush vegetation. The path is paved, and honestly the first, mile and a half, 2 miles of it is really chill, really easy to get around, so if you have mobility issues, it really shouldn't be that much of a problem for you. I went about as far as I could on my leg, but we turned around right before the path got a little bit more intense, and my dad went back to get the car.
Okay, we're here at Cliff Walk in Rhode Island. What was your favorite part about the day? Did you love it? Was it great? Was it everything it was cracked up to be?
Yeah, it was great. It was
Rated out of 10 right now.
out of 10.
Yeah.
On what scale? Like what am I? But like, what am
Out
I?
of 10, 1 to 10.
No, like, what am I judging about it? Just overall?
Yeah,
Out of like all the walks and hikes that I've taken?
Yeah.
Hmm. Probably about a 7,
Okay.
7.5
Mm.
right now ish, because it's kind of cooler. What was your favorite part about this walk?
I think what's really cool about this walk is about really at the end of like the super paved path. There's like a bunch of it's like where there's like a little bend in the cliffside, and you can kind of see down. There's a bunch of tide pools. If you bring a camera with a good enough zoom, or I mean even some of the stuff is visible from the cliffs, but you can see down. There's like shrimp and crabs and like hermit crabs in there.
That was pretty cool.
It's really cool to see. Even whenever everything is like paved with cement and like you're basically right here on like what looks like inhospitable cliffs, like there's still life at the bottom. So
It's true.
yeah, I thought that was really cool.
And it's pretty cool because along the like the little stoppage points that they have little like QR codes that show you kind of like or like tell you a little bit of like the history behind this place.
It's a pretty cool place. I think you should come check it out. It's in Newport, Rhode Island. That's where we're at, and this is Cliff Walk.
We finished the day with dinner at a place called Pasta Beach, which was delicious, before heading to Castle Hill Inn to watch the sunset. We had a couple of cocktails and watched the sunset on one of the best days of our lives.
We're rolling now.
Hello?
Okay, so how'd you guys like it today? Okay, please lock in. How'd you guys like it today out on Cliff Walk?
It was amazing. It's something different than what we see at home in Texas.
Yeah.
Everything is so green and beautiful. So many flowers on the side of the cliffs, and just the amazing homes and the history,
Mhm.
history of the area,
Yeah.
and just the beautiful like weather and everything was just great.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really beautiful and relaxing.
I agree. Yeah, Mom, it's been your dream to come to Rhode Island for forever.
Yes, since I learned my capitals of the states. Yeah,
Why is that?
I don't know.
What's
I
the capital of
just
Rhode Island?
Providence.
Mm.
I don't know. I just always wanted to come to Rhode Island. Now I can put something else on my bucket list.
Woohoo. Is it everything you hoped it would be and more?
So far from Cliff Walk, yes, it's very nice. It
Mm,
looks very beachy, like a little town. Yeah,
yeah, it's
pretty.
very cute.
Thank
Rate
you.
out of 10 real quick.
I would say a 10.
10.
10.
3 big booms for Rhode Island.
Yeah, boom.
This was special to us. I mean, I don't have to tell you that. It was emotional to be there. You know, I know it seems silly that my mom wanted to go there just because the state was small. My mom did so much to help me be successful, to get me where I am today, and to show me the world that I wanted to see, you know? So it only felt right to take her to this place where she had wanted to go for so long. And it was perfect. We couldn't have asked for anything better. The weather was amazing. Everything we saw was gorgeous. The food was great. You know, we were all together. We wouldn't have wanted it any other way. So just grateful that we got to see this. As much as I want to give you guys recommendations and travel tips and everything like that, I also want to show you how much these places mean to me and my family. So thank you so much for watching. New England was so good to us, and if you're planning on making a trip out there, or if you've already been in the past, please let us know what you plan to do, or let us know how your experience was in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Next time you see us, we'll be coming to you from the crown of the North American continent, but until then, this is Aaron Trevino signing off from the East Coast. I love you, Mom.